just ran out of gas, or how do you explain?
A little bit of that. I do think we ran out of gas because I do feel like we were getting some good looks at the hoop, and you know, shots that we have hit all year weren't falling for us. And you know, you got to give Dowling credit because they're a tough defensive team, and they made us work for our shots and you know, force us to rush our shots a little bit, especially to start the second half. I thought they were doing that. So you know, I think that was the difference for us.
Both your kids, if you don't mind, did you feel as though you were gassed?
I would say we kind of ran out of gas because all of us played our hearts out. Like, we weren't just going to give up. We were not going to know we were going to fight for it.
Mary Louise, you played 40 minutes yesterday. Did you feel worn down at all? You know, the back-to-back games, the whole...
I don't necessarily think that was it. I just think it wasn't our night, you know? Like, we have good shooting nights and we have bad shooting nights, and you know, like those shots that I usually dish out on the perimeter, they almost always go in. Tonight they just weren't falling, and we struggled to offense rebound because they got a good post presence inside. So usually those O-boards that we get, usually we weren't getting them this game. So that was a struggle for us.
Coach, you're looking at the numbers, they're probably as ugly as you've seen in a while. You know, 18 for 61 shooting, 5 for 25 from 3. That's got to be as bad as it's getting to you.
Yep, absolutely. And you know, something we just talked about as far as, you know, point production is probably the lowest we've had all season, except maybe a game against Caldwell early in the season, which we were able to win miraculously. However, yeah, it just, you know, again, I think that our execution was good. I thought we had some good looks, but you know, on a night like tonight, we always talk about the difference being on the rebounding, you know, on the glass, and if you're not hitting your shots, big plays on a night like this are an offensive rebound. And I do think, you know, the back-to-back and kids playing a lot of minutes definitely hurt us. But you know, I think defensively, the kids worked really hard. We had a really good defensive scheme against a very talented post player. I think Toria did a great job against her with some good help from Asia and the perimeter. But you know, I think they had some kids that knocked down shots that they're not normally hitting, you know, and so you got to give them credit for bringing that presence. And I think Dowling, having been here last year and with maybe a more veteran team with some seniors, you know, playing for their last time, you know, that makes a difference. That makes a difference. And that is what we talked about in the locker room too. And the only shining light here tonight is that, you know, I didn't have to hug a senior goodbye, and we'll be back.
You just said it, so props to Toria, I assume, for, I don't know if you hold a kid to 13 points and 13 rebounds and 12 points, but after she had 23 and 22,
right,
that's pretty much what
right.
the team did. She was the key, obviously, in that.
Yeah, I think Toria did a great job. You know, we talked about the game plan on her, and Toria worked really hard not to let her get early position on us. And then, like I said, I think our other post players doubling down on her, Asia especially, did a great job. I think some of their perimeter kids actually knocked down some shots that hurt us. You know, we were counting on some of their perimeter kids not shooting as well as they did tonight. But again, you know, sometimes the ball bounces that way.
Toria, what was the key to doing that job on Danielle?
Just to keep her out of the paint, kind of be physical with her. She really like being physical. She's a really good player, so.
Is she as tough a kid as you faced? I would.
Yeah, she's tough.
Yeah. Was there a sense of frustration on the court at any point? It must have been in the second half where you kind of realized it was coming to an end. Was there a sense of frustration at one point out there in particular?
It was, some points it was disappointing that our shots weren't falling, but like you couldn't give in to that, you're just going to keep going for the rebounds.
Mary Louise?
Yeah, I focused on, I was telling everyone to get stops defensively, because if we get stops, all we need to do is just execute our offense, and yeah, shots just weren't falling tonight. So.
Coach, was there a point where you kind of thought, you felt on the bench that this is slipping away? Was there any point in particular?
Actually, no.
Okay.
And that's been the beauty of this team. I think, you know, we've been in pretty big holes this season that we've come out of, and that's why I love this team, and especially for their youth. you know, they play possession by possession. And, you know, we talked about that. You know, we had gone down 10, but there was a lot of time left on the clock, and we just said, stop looking at the clock and the score. Just play possession by possession. And I think, again, you know, you've seen Mary Louise play, a player like this, you know, I thought that 3-point play she had was a great spark for us. I really felt that that was going to be a turning point for us. Again, you got to give Dowling credit because they came down and they're hitting those shots that, you know, if we get that next stop, now the momentum's turning, you know, and you know, obviously there's a game of runs, but I felt like, you know, even when we were getting stops, we couldn't get that momentum. We just couldn't turn the corner. But honestly, I never, with this team, there's never a point in the game where I say we're not going to win this game.
How valuable, you mentioned it, is tournament experience, which none of your kids had, and they do.
Yeah.
How valuable is it at this point in the year where the stage just gets bigger?
Yeah, I do think it's very valuable. I think, you know, once you've been here, you understand the difficulty of winning, you know, 1 game, 2 game, 3 games. But, you know, definitely the back-to-back on the Friday, Saturday is definitely challenging because it's a more intense environment. You know, you don't have a chance to rest kids in a back-to-back situation. You know, you've got to just play to win every possession, every game. So I think our kids next year, you know, hopefully we'll be back and they'll have that understanding and you know, we'll be a little bit older and wiser. And, you know, I think we've talked about the maturity of this team, the difference from, you know, day one this year and now. You know, I really look forward to, in a year from now, just the maturity that we're going to have and the understanding and the ability to get this win for sure.
On a brighter note, I'll be writing about the end of the season for tomorrow, but for Monday I want to do something about the future, and it certainly would appear to be bright. Did these kids come together almost a year quicker than even you imagined?
Absolutely, and we've talked about chemistry all year and what our chemistry has meant to our success, and you know, this is a special team, and they bonded quickly and they understood chemistry. And you have to talk about, like, I'd love to talk about every kid on this team, because one of the things I just said in the locker room was kids that understood their role. You know, kids that didn't play a minute of game time. We had, you know, a freshman class who came to compete every day in practice, and that made us better. You had kids understanding their role coming off the bench. An Amy Pelletier who started last year, you know, her ability to say, yeah, I'm okay with coming off the bench, and her ability to still, you know, be the difference in a lot of games this year. That's the success of a team. Like, 1 through 11, these kids really understood what their role meant to the success of the team. And you know, that's something that you work hard every year to get, but you don't always get it, and this team has that, for sure.
What's the breakdown by class? Is it 4 juniors, 4 sophomores, 3
4,
freshmen?
4, 3, yeah.
Okay. You've been doing this a couple of years. How excited are you about next year? You know, it's hard to talk about right now, I'm sure.
Yeah.
That taste is still in your mouth,
But very exciting, you know, it's always the most difficult thing on this day when you have to talk about your seniors, you know, and so I'm emotional every day, so these guys just expect that I'm going to cry after every game, or a big game like this for sure. You know, so it's emotional, but at the same time, you know, there's a smile at the fact that, you know, we've got everybody back, and you know, we will get very excited about next year.
Toria, you're just a sophomore, you get 2 more years of this. How excited are you for next year?
I'm really excited for next year, and I'm thankful that we got to experience it early on in my career and in my career, so that we'll be even more prepared next year.
How important was this experience? Just, you're going to feed off this going in next, now you know what it's like.
Yeah, now we know what we're capable of, so we can just get better from here.
And Mel, you're kind of one of the old ladies on the team. To come back next year and lead this team, you must be very excited about your senior year.
Yeah, I'm excited to. Is it different than where we were at last year, where we need to rebuild? But this year, we can just build off of where we're at. So I think we're just going to be even better than we are this year, and just keep working, have a great summer where everyone's working hard, and just have a great preseason and do it all over again, except even better.
Were you a little surprised that it came together this quickly? You know, after last year and sub 500 and everything, this was a big step up. You almost doubled your win total in a year's time.
Yeah.
Are you kind of looking back a little bit surprised that the team came this far in such a short period of time?
Definitely a little surprised, but I knew some sort of success was going to come out of such a team we have with such great work ethics. Everyone is always practicing 110%, and that's something not a lot of teams have. And like everyone always wants to get better during practice, and that definitely helped us out this year. Hard work pays off, and that's what our team is a testament of.
Tori, you were probably a wide-eyed freshman last year. To go from 13 and 14 to 24, 24 wins, yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely a different feeling. Not that I'm accepting the fact that we lost, but I feel more fulfilled with our season than I did last year. Last year there was kind of an empty feeling. But I'm still looking forward to next year.
Coach, what's this team have to do to take the next step even and, maybe go to the Elite Eight?
We'll see. No. You know what I love about the fact that we were able to get here this year and win a game and experience, the NCAA tournament atmosphere, is that it makes you hungry to get back. And last year, at the end of the year, we talked very differently about what our goals were going to be, but we talked about if we're a top 4 team in the NE10, that we were going to make the NCAA tournament. And so, the preseason poll came out and people predict us right in the middle of the league, which they should have coming off last year, but we knew we were going to be different. But as we have said, we knew we had something different and more exciting than we had anticipated, and we came together a little more quickly. And the fact that we got here, having put together such a great body of work, again, I just think these kids understand that next year is really different because we're, like ML said, we're at a different level now. So our expectations and the goals that we'll set for next year will be very different. And I know this team and their passion and their intensity, and they're going to be hungry. They're going to be hungry for, next year we'll talk about a championship.
Anyone know how many days till Midnight Madness?
I'm sure someone in my locker room does, just not me.
What will this summer be like for you guys? Are you even more determined? Obviously, you must have worked hard last summer. Are you even more determined now, having gotten a taste of this, to,
I play pickup with them now all the time, so I plan on doing that over the summer. Maybe doing mile.
This is recorded, correct?
Okay, this is not,
Awesome.
this is, yeah. Yeah? How determined are you to, I don't want to say work even harder this summer, but this has to be incentive to go into the summer.
Yeah, I'm working on beating her in the bench press.
Okay. Very
But
good.
yeah, I think playing pickup together is going to be key during the summer. We're all pretty local for the most part, so just get a team together and just play everyone during the summer is a good experience.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Only saw you